Anybody here from Jim Scanzillo? Yes. Simple. Okay. Yeah.
Right. There's 3 minutes.
How are We'll get started soon. You might say like allegiance to students. Yeah, bring it up. Like allegiance to the United States of America. And to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the March 25th meeting. Second item on the agenda is approval of minutes from meeting of our February 25th meeting. Did anybody get a chance to review the minutes? If so, do we have any comments?
I do. I'd like to request that additional wording be included to state that if a sketch plan is brought before the Board of Supervisors, that the Planning Commission be notified. So, thank you.
I'll second that. Anybody else? With that said, anybody would like to make a motion to approve minutes? Motion to approve. All right, do we have a second? All right. All in favor? All opposed? All right, no further changes. All right, on the agenda, 140 Upper Church Road. If you can give us a quick overview, introduce your party, that would be greatly appreciated as members of the board were here last time. And this is what your third time go around? Third? Fourth?
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I think the main issue last time was storm water management. And believe that that's a lot of.
There's a sewer, they had to work through their sewage planning module. Yeah, I'll give a quick overview.
Please.
Rob Cunningham with Homesteading Engineering. I'm here with Joe Capsidani, who is the owner and future builder of the property at 140 Upper Church Road. We were here for a sketch plan and then I think for just a quick review during preliminary plan. The project, the property is about a 13.5 acre parcel. We're proposing just a minor subdivision. We would construct 2 new homes. The existing home on the property would be converted to an auxiliary or accessory dwelling. And there's other barn structures on the property, some of which are being removed at this point. From the last time we were before you, we went in front of the zoning hearing board, there were some issues related to the use of the accessory dwelling, the septic that's associated with it, and some other things related to the site, mainly driveway spacing. There's an existing shared driveway which services the existing dwelling and the neighboring dwelling that is to remain. There will be 2 new proposed driveways servicing the new homes. In the time that we have not been here, we've gone to the zoning hearing board. We've worked with the health department and the township to work on our sewage facilities planning. We've obtained an NPDS permit. We are now just working on our subdivision approval before you. We've been working with Gilmore pretty closely for the last 1.5 years to obtain all their sign off. We do have a review for March 19th. We have no issues. Everything will be worked out. Primarily will comply There are a couple items that we need to discuss. Our plan is to take any comments or suggestions you have this evening, along with a recommendation, revise the plan, and then go in front of the board, hopefully sometime later this spring, for final opinion.
You have anything, Joe?
No, good.
He's going to, all right, he's good. So there's a couple new members here, and I'm gonna assume, was anybody here for this project, or is there another project? Is there someone there? Okay, okay. So the back of the property, I don't know if, maybe you want to turn it out a little bit so Red see. The back of this property is gonna be pretty much preserved. And yeah, from there,
All the work is up towards upper reservoirs, and everything behind it is about 9 acres.
I hesitated because I wasn't sure of the septic system in the back.
The septic system is in the back.
Yeah, so we'll see work in the back, there's a septic system back there, but the homes will be up front. And then, so you're keeping the existing house, you got your zoning relief, you got your sewer relief. That'll be not a second dwelling unit, but it'll be, what are they calling it?
It's just gonna be like an auxiliary
That's for sure.
bathroom out there and an accessory structure.
But you'll be preserving the home, and they did get approved from DEP and zoning for that. So that was really why they hadn't been back. You've seen this project before. I don't have any planning comments. I don't have any major thing I think over as far as engineering issues. So maybe what you want to do, Mark, is open up the residents here. If they have any concerns or questions, or the planning commission. Here, I think it will comply, so I'm not gonna argue with anything that will comply. The one zoning issue we will work out, Rob and I discussed it, it was a clarification on the condition by the zoning hearing board. Janine and I worked it out with the township, the zoning hearing board solicitor, make sure, Rob informed me what they show on the plan, what they presented to zoning hearing board. If that's the case, then it matches, we'll do.
Board, any questions?
Of course. So I am just concerned with the accessory structure. If I was buying the place, I would be, going, oh, wow, great, and a barn and another, it's a dwelling unit, accessory dwelling unit, but it's.
So it's not based off of the zoning decision.
They had a good zoning hearing board, that's a.
So it cannot, it is not a dwelling, it's just.
I understand, you can let me finish.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so the thing that I'm wondering about is what will it be used for? What is permitted there, like in terms of a business and warehouse or whatever, I mean, in terms of the use permitted.
So it would be the same as a finished basement. You'd be able to put a pool table, have a wet bar, you can have a, you can have a
Recreational,
bathroom.
family recreational. I have it my own, I have 12 acres, I have a home, and I had a barn that I remodeled, and it's just, our family event center. We have meals there on weekends and holidays, and, I have a home office in there. And I want to do something very similar there for whoever buys that. It's been 3 years, really, since about 2.5 years that, had this and looking at this and, going through this. The barn, the main barn is really like dilapidated. We're taking a lot of it down. There's another building that's like a shop, kind of another outbuilding shop barn. That's going to go completely. And as I look at the structure now with the barn, I've decided I'm probably going to take, I just don't think it's going to be something salvageable at this point. To take that barn down, the old ruin walls, I'm going to leave them up and make it a garden. So it's just going to be a really nice garden there. The farmhouse is also pretty dilapidated. So it's going to need a major remodel minimally. And the way it's laid out now, it's not going to suffice for what I'm saying. So I do plan on coming in with a plan, once we have approval, to take it and remodel it, take it down and rebuild it as a large room. That's for entertainment, a lot of glass, bathroom, little sink and a, refrigerator or wet bar kind of thing, and have it be something that family that owns this home can use. Right now, that structure is bigger than it needs to be. This would be a one floor thing, kind of like a small barn remodeled. So barn dominiums are popular right now, and it's
You
just a
would
place.
take the second floor off?
Yes, completely. I would want to make it, because it's just a whole bunch of little rooms up there. They're not going to be, I mean, it's not a house. It's, we don't need bedrooms. What's that?
When it was,
I know it was remodeled in the forties, before it was older, but the one addition on it was like 1940s. And it's very old. The very original part was old. Yeah, so it doesn't, since it's not going to be a home, it's supposed to just be what we're talking about. An auxiliary bathroom in a
you were
place.
gonna do that, you settled that unfinished.
No, I'm going to do it. Absolutely, I'll be doing that. I might even do that, like, as soon as I get approval, I'm probably gonna come in with a permit plan to remodel that, because I need to clean that up, because quite honestly, in the time I've owned it, just kind of showing it for potential future, it's like, wow, beautiful, great. What's gonna happen to that? Is that going, like, can we, is that, what about this big part? So nobody wants to take on the headache, right? So I gotta get rid of the headache before I can market, right?
Yeah, but we want, I just found the condition actually. The condition of the zoning hearing board for that unit. The living space proposed for renovated existing residential dwelling shall not be a standalone, separate or second dwelling unit on lot one. Occupancy of the living space shall be limited to family members of the occupants of the new main dwelling unit on lot one. The accessory dwelling shall not be leased or rented to third parties. So that's the
All.
condition.
Mhm.
Right. And it also mentions taking
Zoning-
and stuff down.
New zoning officer gets to enforce that.
No bedrooms, okay, Board of Health, yeah, no bedrooms.
That was something.
No kitchen also.
So that was something we worked out and said, yes, we zoning.
Yeah, well, we're not flushing toilet.
Any other questions from the board? Public, any questions? Can I have your name and address, please?
108 Church Road. And I do have a couple questions. One, and I'm probably not the one who should be asking, because I'm the one that has lived there all my life, but I think you mentioned there's gonna be a septic system back here.
Correct,
We live over here.
understood.
Now, is there gonna be any interference with our well, or our septic system?
No, those,
No drainage?
no, they've been permitted through the health department. They go through DEP approval, so the locations are approved, they meet all of the standards, they're, I believe, whoever lived there or owned that property had actually come up at a previous meeting, and we had the same conversation, and
My
again,
husband, we should be here.
no, understood. He expressed that as well,
Yeah.
and it meets all the buffer requirements. It's, I think the closest either one of those systems is about 100 feet from property line. So just a little less than 100 feet, so, you should have no issues. And again, we will have permits, they will be constructed and inspected by the health department, so.
Are you gonna widen the road at all?
There's not any widening proposed, there would be, there are some improvements. Overlaying the road with a new top coat is one of those requirements. And then, there was also a requirement to, clean up the roadside ditch, but the intention is to keep it as a rural road.
Are you gonna check our wells like you did for the,
This doesn't qualify for that because there's only the two wells. There's a threshold, I think it's 5 units or 4 units. So we would be replacing the existing well with a new well and then adding one new well.
okay, now this is a question that I'm not sure of. You have it's a spring house that's on that property, a little spring house.
Yeah, correct.
And somewhere down here, there are springs
Mhm.
and little rivulets that, okay, how are you gonna handle that? With the water.
We're not going back there.
It's just.
That-
They did well.
yeah,
But
we could
aren't
cross it
they
with the
right
septic.
behind those two houses?
Correct, it's a little bit further, but so the ordinance requires that we protect those to a certain standard, and those are the big bubbles that you can actually see on that plan around still our wetlands and the stream.
Okay,
So-
Yeah, we're not,
that's what
yeah,
the.
not at all.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the public? Is that the problem?
Brian Trubisky, 155, 157 Upper Church Road, street property. Just didn't know the setback, I mean, I don't have a problem. Just didn't know the setback for that, for those 2 units off the road.
They're required to be 100 feet, and we have proposed at 105.
Do you have any buffers there?
How many, what's it, what was that?
Do you have any buffers between, on that 100 feet?
No, there's no required, like planting, you talking about with planting?
Plantings, like typically you've seen up the street from me there, and then newer development, and then newer development, where you see gates in front.
So there would be some trees that are planted in the front yard, but, nothing special, like to buffer the front from the street is required. So it would be just your standard street tree.
Landscaping packages for the house. Basically.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
So this point, think it's, time to make a decision here. Anybody like to make a motion to,
I can do it. You're okay with all of it?
Yes, we worked everything out a year ago, so anything else that you will comply, that's all I needed to hear, so. I would recommend the next one, for the minor subdivision. March 19th, 2025.
Mhm. We have a second?
Second.
On in favor? Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is 256 Berry Road. Or any lot line.
Good thing on the.
I love it. Every year this time. Yes, we do.
One great day.
Mr. Chairman, may I proceed? Yes. All right, I'm Todd Savarese. I'm land use counsel for Joseph and Nadine Solana. And they are here this evening proposing a lot line change. If the lot line change is approved, they will acquire 0.86 acres of land from Mr. and Mrs. Robert Showalter, Mary Ann Bob Showalter, who are also present this evening. As I mentioned, it's a lot line change. There's no, other than a reconfiguration of the line on the plan, there is no proposed improvements at present. The end game here is quite honestly just to liberate the Solana's property a little bit to give them access off of Iron Hill Road as opposed to strictly Ferry Hill Road. And that's why we're here. New Britain Township zoning ordinance, subdivision land development ordinance does not differentiate between a lot line change or exclude a lot line change from the formal review process. Not to suggest that, we don't welcome your comments. But nothing is going to change unless and until a future subdivision plan is proposed. So very briefly, the 256 Ferry Road will, after the lot line change is completed, the net buildable lot area will be 11.92 acres. And 393 Iron Hill Road, from which the lot, the 0.86 or 87 acres is being proposed to be transferred. The net buildable will be 4.13 acres. The properties are in the watershed district. The minimum lot area is 80,000 square feet. I have Rachel Butch here from Showalter and Associates. She's the professional engineer. She can answer any technical questions. I'm happy to respond to any other questions. Planning Commission.
It's for a driveway, so you can further subdivide later on.
Mr. Solana doesn't have any immediate plans to subdivide. In fact, if he were to subdivide or have plans to subdivide in the immediate future, we'd be here with a proposed subdivision plan. I mean, basically, in order for Mr. and Mrs. Solana to conclude their business with Mr. and Mr. Showalter, we need to get approval for the lot. change.
I understand, but you're saying that you need access to. You need they want access, they have two accesses, one to Olive Iron Hill and one to Ferry. And I don't see a driveway in this design,
No driveway is proposed. It
correct?
very well may be where our driveway goes in the future. So yes, the answer to your question, yes, that's really the intent, is to have a separate access directly to Iron Hill.
When it's subdivided.
I'm not trying to be cute, but I'd ask my client that question. They have some young college age sons, maybe they'll, subdivide it in the future for their own home or for, a compound for their sons. But as I said, I think the fact that it's not a fully engineered plan, lends credibility to the fact that they don't have any immediate intention to subdivide.
May I ask you a question, Craig? How does that 85 feet on frontage on Old Iron Hill, how does that translate into a driveway?
You're in the path.
Perfect.
Be clear, I brought that up to Mr. Savarese. Yes, I mean, I've been asked this since the day it came in. I think pretty much Janine, myself, and others got the same answer. It's their right to do this, and they obviously to propose something easier to go through just one time and maybe show any home and driveway and be done with this process because it's not that fun. But yes, they can do a driveway, they can do whatever they want with
Just want to
that.
make sure they didn't have to ask for.
No, it complies, they have enough land. Rachel, spoke to Janine as well about that. I questioned it because I had some board members already ask about it as well. And I got from Mr. Savarese today that's really the big question I keep getting, and I can't answer it because that's their right not to. I mean, they're here tonight if they want to, chime in, they can. If not, unfortunately, that's why I think things took a little longer because of those questions. We've had multiple subdivisions in the area now, and you're right. They have a right to do it, and they subdivide, and they have.
They could also preserve it.
They could preserve it. That's- I'm assuming they wouldn't split a lot of it. But you get all the points and it does comply. The only issue was, the comment we had in zoning was, since there's no development, we can't lay out the conservation easement. But since this is a watershed, and I'm not sure if they looked at that yet, I know Rachel's familiar with it, but it's pretty tough on zoning and layout. But once that layout or whatever's done in the back, they'll have to have conservation easements over that area outside of the development. So, but there's no sense laying that out now when we don't know what's coming, or if anything's. So, I don't have any other comments. I mean, that was the one issue that's come up. I recommend you grant approval. The only deferral item is the conservation easement. If anything's deferred, and I believe everything else will comply, Rachel, we have no other issues. So it is just a lot line change. I know it has to go through this process. Other townships in the community require this. It'll be a recorded plan. Since you are going through Mr. Showalter's property is being changed as well, so we'll need to do 2 deeds. In the report. I have no other issue. Public? Motion? No. There's a second. Okay. Okay. Opposed? Years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gary Road. We did a review.
Evening, everyone. I'm bearing gifts. You can.
Yeah, I think I wrote it back in 2002. Yeah, because I mean, you get a lot of them. You have to do, you definitely read that. Was like, hasn't been smooth with this small project. Really. And it's just like you have front and you work with you're not, and we get a lot of these, and next thing you know, you get. I looked at tax program, if you see it as 34-1 and 34-2, that came off the parent. So that's already been done, so the plan to there, and you'll be on your. Lots of original stuff. Yes, I looked at all of that. I was gonna use that, if ever you get me. So, are you the host, last time we were on, if you must be able to stay planning.
Sir, good evening, Justin Strayhorn with WB Homes. We are the owner of the piece of ground on Berry Road. We were, if you recall, I believe it was in the fall, we did come to the planning commission and the board of supervisors with our sketch plan for the 4-lot subdivision on Berry Road. Did receive feedback from the planning commission and board of supervisors on our sketch plan. I will note that the layout has not changed since we presented that to you last time. Took back the feedback from the township, incorporated that into our site plans. Had to do with stormwater management, some buffering for the neighbors. Was requested that we meet with the neighbors, understand their concerns. We did meet with the neighbors on this application and the property. Did subsequently submit site plans to the township. We are in receipt of Gilmore's review letter. We will comply with that letter, work all the details out with the engineer. Working on our outside agency reviews. The waiver requests in front of you are largely related to, if you recall, it's a private drive for the community, will not be dedicated to township. So it's really massing of waivers for street standards. Other than that, we're just working on our outside approval agencies. Would be happy to answer any questions or comments.
Correctly. I'll put it to address. Now we're met with addressed. But. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's to me, fire markets, environment, I didn't like it, but it, long fire. I like the old fashioned cul stacks. I know it's a little more impervious, but. Yeah, so anyway, that's actually something we can talk about offline, but I'm not use this in this that's what we do. And if you look at this,
Association.
Yeah, there will be no choice. Yeah, they will own and maintain the drive stormwater management.
And they're gonna maintain the drive.
All of, yeah.
They're gonna maintain the drive from which ones?
So the piece of ground it's actually owned all the way out to Berry Road. So the property goes all the way out here. So they'll own and maintain the entire drive.
So there's 2 existing driveways that will feed on that existing road.
That will not change.
That will not change.
Correct.
And the other thing that was discussed that issue was they're not to be responsible for meets the rest of the business. They, the city residents, I'm assuming they're probably here tonight. Just like the developer agreed that, they'll only take care of maintaining their portion like they've been, and the burden of ownership and maintenance of the private drive. The rest of it is not. They're not.
Correct. There will just be an easement for their access.
So honestly, nothing that just is right. Nothing's changed layout wise since the sketch plan you saw. There are a little more technical comments than probably just anticipated, but we did have an engineer meeting last week. Seems like everything is going in the right direction. As far as the waivers, if you want to discuss those, we can go through them real quick. If you'd like to do that, I'll just take the lead since you let your engineer lead for the night. It's just.
Is he still here?
He's still here.
I can answer questions.
You're not on the clock yet, Rob.
So if he speaks, then he can bill me. If he doesn't speak, then he can't bill me. Don't ask him.
I promise I would ask at least 2 or 3. All right, so first one is preliminary and final approval, small project, but depends on how your answers on the next couple of waivers. Lighting plan, I recommend you support a lighting, you don't need a lighting plan for the small project, they can combine that. The road widening, we did discuss this, they have a PennDOT, I don't know if you have a PennDOT review yet, but you did meet with PennDOT, and that's.
We're in discussions with PennDOT.
They've also brought up some drainage issues. We brought it up. We actually shared pictures with them of the drainage. So they've agreed in number 3 to do the improvements as far as addressing the drainage. But then there will be no curb or sidewalks. There's nothing to connect them. There's actually no frontage.
It's like 100 feet.
Yeah, okay.
And it's already
Well, no, Barry.
buried.
But way down.
Yeah, way down.
Then you're requesting a waiver from providing carway widening on school bound.
That is the typo.
That's.
Sorry.
Leave it up to them.
Sorry, I apologize. That's all number 3. Yeah, I'll just. Dear Craig going through this, but. This is the limits of our frontage right here, and this entrance is sort of already improved, it's widened, it's already curved. So this is just our frontage.
Number 4 then is the cul-de-sac. Yeah. So we did put that discussion. We will address that. They've agreed to do, as part of the widening or waiver for the road improvements. Also requiring mill and overlay. We did discuss the limits of that, and we'll work that out as far as when utilities are laid out. The next one is, again, the cul-de-sac configuration. They do not need a snow easement. In fact, that's been removed from the draft words that are circulated, so there's no need for a snow easement for 4 homes. The big one was not, and we did discuss this at the last meeting, at planning commission and the board. No sidewalk we proposed on the private street, and we want to keep that rural. And the width is reduced as well. It's still 20 feet. And then no need for emergency access for only 4 homes. In fact, I don't know where you would even connect to emergency access.
School.
3 trees, this was just a clarification, actually during our meeting, we discussed it. The street trees are supposed to be planted outside the right of way. They don't own the 2 existing homes, their property, and if you go right to the right of way, the right of way is the property line, so they trust.
It's just in this area here and here. But if you were, in your packet, there's an updated landscape plan that does show all the proposed street trees. It's just in these 2 areas.
And then the last was street lights. They've agreed to move driveway lamp posts. Move that staff if only 4 homes. Each lot will have driveway lamp posts and not actual street lights. Those are the waivers. All the rest, I understand will comply. Yes. I would ask the engineer to go to the stormwater manager, but he's not present. So. I think he's dying to talk back there, Jim.
I did just want to point out that, the thing about the street trees is also because the cul-de-sac doesn't exist, there's no, the trees are within the right of way.
Okay, that's right.
So like they're along the street and not 50 feet behind.
So what we do is still take an easement over the right of way as if it was a lawn, but there's grass in there, so it kind of look funny if you plant the trees so far back. You can actually see the line along the plan. There's a dark circle towards the end. That's the true cul-de-sac right away. We'll still take that as an easement. We've done that on other projects.
And you're planting the trees in a circle?
Not in the circle, but it'll be closer to the road.
They are like that on the landscape plan. They'll be revised.
No, so
You didn't see it.
people,
Yeah.
Right, we had it, our meeting was just last year. You're looking at the original plans.
So is this gonna be public sewer and water?
Correct.
So I'm a resident on a similar development not too far from it there on Julius Farm,
Okay.
which we're still haven't totally dedicated back to the township and just having everything right up front and being in accordance with the township is essential. Otherwise, we're now 6 years into this and we still haven't dedicated it back.
Well, that's because, just to clarify, that we're not taking ownership.
Oh, you're not,
Because of that one, we haven't taken a road price since.
yeah, okay. So this is gonna be totally
All privately owned.
privately owned. So you're gonna collect a capital fund from all the residents, so someplace down the road. Yeah.
Even
They don't complain to themselves.
the project at High Point, there's what townhomes, that's all private. It's all
Yeah.
Behind Wawa's.
Yeah.
So large. Resource at a time. All even the large projects are all privately owned.
Got it. All right.
Yes.
I just. You do, yeah. Are they absolutely fine for people to come in and put pools and patios?
Yeah, so that,
Pools and.
It's all, and all the decking associated. So we have designed the stormwater not only for, that is one of the largest homes would be Woodhill and Driveway, but then building up to 20% impervious. So I think those lots show around 4,500 square feet of impervious. Our stormwater is designed up to around 8,200. So it could be what you see there, a shed, a patio, a pool, that would all be accounted for in the stormwater management. It's already accounted for. It's already designed for that, as did I say?
Yes, and
Phase.
two questions.
It's going to be designed.
No.
Okay. That's kind of question.
This point of clarification, you actually definitely left out on the papers. Notice there's a green area on the plan, but the property to the left and to the right is actually a part of the lot. So that's all going to be deed restricted. So we discussed that with engineering last week. You don't have that on your plans.
So sheet 3, they do.
Oh, they do?
It was updated. I apologize.
Okay.
Sheet 3 shows the updated conservation.
So I discussed it with Justin. You know, it's not watershed and these lots are quite large. They will agree to in exchange for the waivers that were hopefully granted. They will preserve and deed restrict from further development and there'll be no, look, lot owners cannot. On the right side is Texas Eastern, so they did discuss at the last meeting they were at that they would preserve behind the easement.
The easement is right in here, and this is all preserved, so these woods and this field is preserved, and then this rendering does come pretty close to the conservation easement of the riparian corridor, the tributary, and the woods. This is all preserved.
They will both be conservation easements. One will be voluntary. There's no natural resources. The one on the left will be. So we'll work that out with the township solicitor on the agreements. What they can and can't do with the back. So that was something they volunteered to do. I supported that, and really we had worked out all the waivers already anyway. So they got some pretty generous on their part to preserve that.
What size do you expect these homes to be?
We're gonna offer a number of models anywhere from 2,800 to 4,000 square feet. I don't have a crystal ball from the market, so I can't tell you exactly what they're going to take, but in that range.
This is pipeline affects the other 2 lots.
It doesn't. No.
That's
It's just the 2 lots on the right.
And there's gonna be, I guess, an easement, by necessity for them to basically maintain and inspect.
The Texas Eastern, oh, that's a right of way.
Yeah, that's a right of way. They come through whenever they want. And we've had a number of jobs. That's now,
That's gonna be in separate agreement.
it's there.
It's already there.
Right there.
Yeah, it's already right away.
Yes.
I'm gonna use 100 on
I think continues in your neighborhood.
Oh, it goes right through the house. It says several houses have it running right through the house. Yeah, well, it's an easement, but they have the right of way.
It's the line that goes from Texas to New York. Like it's been there since I think it was put in during World War II.
Yeah. It's a long line.
Mhm. Yeah,
It continues all the way through Shell, through his neighborhood. to
Yeah.
Shell.
there's two lines of existing natural gas.
And they are there all the time.
Yes.
No, anything.
So-
You can ask that. They're just driveway land.
This lamppost is at the end of the driveway. I can't tell them not to update their house, correct?
That's not what five times.
But it's not divulging. What kind of lighting structure.
From our perspective, it will be the house lamps at the end of the driveway and then just lighting next to the front door or by the garage, just your typical residential lighting on the house. We less low. Well, I mean, it is a rural area and we intend to keep it that.
Yeah, but you don't know if the homeowners.
No.
I live in a rural area too, and it looks like the toll house, the toll garbage house, looks like a runway. You can land a plane on there.
You can put that into the HOA
We
agreement.
could, if that is a concern of the township, we can absolutely write language into the declaration that would be reported against the property. I know it's a heads up. Absolutely. No. You
would put anything in there.
Just as long as they were.
And
Ronnie didn't, he doesn't walk around.
Is there a standard township HOA agreement or does WB Homes come in with their
We
version?
have standards that. But we absolutely have provided that to municipalities for the solicitor review.
And does New Britain Township hold it up against certain things that they want to see in an HOA agreement?
No, we don't have this. Municipalities don't have any standard forms usually, but
It varies by development.
yeah. But the city reviews they prepare the documents, so it's reviews them. Every once in a while, I'll get involved when if there's like maybe the uplighting, if they have a clause in there about what kind of lights, our lighting consultant will review that, but there's pretty standard documents for ownership and maintenance.
It's very robust on our end.
Yeah,
It's very detailed, very robust, very specific to each community.
it's also a lot harder when you only have 4 homes.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
But the capital, for paving, it is hard. That's the biggest complaint we get. Just not enough money to, 4 homes to, now these are larger homes, so it's usually, the fees will be a lot higher than some of the others, but. Yes,
So isn't there a township ordinance coming out, or it's not in effect yet, that like in development?
we have no legal authority to regulate around the house. I can't. But that's why I went the direction we just did tonight. They're willing to work with you on the upgrade. I know it's a concern. Public street lights are the only legal things we can ask for. They're willing to work with you on the driveway lamp post, and then he's also willing to work with you. We'll work out some clause in the HOA documents as far as all lighting must be, turned down. The other development, Joe worked out, I think the lumens. So each developer's on a little different, but
Otherwise, you might put street lights in. It's actually better than having, I know, it's horrible, but
I don't think there is any sort
if they
And
can
they
make it.
I'll leave it both.
It's great, yes.
Yeah, you-
Putting with. What's that? Yeah.
On this.
I am.
Oh,
There's two existing driveways. So this stub street comes to here, this stub road. The existing driveway is here and here directly across from one another. They're to stay.
Are the property owners of those two properties here tonight?
I know one of them.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
We're on the other side.
I would be curious what their views are.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Public comes after the planning commission. Yes,
Any other questions from the board? Very good. Debbie? All right, I'll now open it up to the public. Yes, sir.
Yeah, actually,
Name and address.
my name is Rich Boyd, 217. Some of you may know Julie Boyd from years ago, my sister-in-law. Anyway, our property is right along here, and we've been there for 30 years. And we live in an old farmhouse, and our kitchen and our family room, in the back of the house face this direction. And interestingly, the last two topics that were brought up here were appropriate to my question. I was very interested in trying to confirm that the wetlands, the tributary that runs through here sort of meanders a little bit back on and off our property, was an area that was going to be preserved, like the trees and the vegetation, everything just
Not touching
wasn't going to be touched. And one of the reasons we wanted to confirm that it wouldn't be touched is, some concern that for the first time, the lighting topic that just came up, these houses will naturally want to have some kind of lights in their backyard and decks and stuff like that. And these trees and shrubs, given they're preserved, will help to block some of that, from coming into our house. And it sounds like, there's already some action to follow up on the lighting topic, and it also sounds like this is scheduled to be preserved, so
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it's unusual in that it's half stone and half brick.
Yes.
I have a question. We're on 82, we're on that driveway that goes in there. What kind of barrier are you putting up in our properties?
I think this was discussed last time with you all. We are proposing a landscape, you're here,
Yes,
landscape buffering in here, a mixture of ornamental evergreen street trees on this property, but between the two properties.
Are you gonna continue it? Because I'm the next property over. I'm the one on the other side. And you don't have trees on my preserved area, so I'm gonna see into those backyards.
Well, I will, so we can't plant in the pipeline. We're not allowed to do that. And this is the conservation area, so we're not going anywhere near there. We're not proposing any plantings of disturbance in there.
The lights, I'm gonna see my beautiful.
You
view, which
were
was
here.
guaranteed 6 years ago. That this board wanted the land to be preserved. I was guaranteed this when I bought my land.
I
I'm
don't,
gonna have lights now, so now I'm back to the lights issue, because you're not gonna block it.
well, you're here.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my gift.
Okay, I can speak to what was guaranteed, but we were not involved at that point.
But
I can tell you, I'm not allowed to plant an easement, and this is the conservation area. We're not touching any of these trees. And this landscaping is what is in your view, Chef. Yep.
And then on to, can I have another question? So on to that issue. Here's the pipeline.
Yes.
I just moved in 6 years ago. My neighbors can attest that they took out trees when they put in this pipeline. You know what happened when they took out all those trees? It started flooding more. You know when it floods, Ida happened, it flooded. into my basement 2 feet. That's not a problem. Then it flooded across Berry Road, down the hill, up into the fact that it went over to Coleman Farm, up to that road. I know they already have made an embarkment to not flood into Main Street, because that used to happen how many years ago? It used to flood into Main Street. So are you really telling me there's not gonna be any flooding issues? Because all I see is my house is going to be uplifted. I think my other neighbor lost a pool because of flooding and this.
I can tell you right now, I can't touch the easement or the right of way for, I
So the
can't,
flooding,
I can, from a stormwater management perspective, this is an open field right now. There are no stormwater controls on it whatsoever. With modern stormwater controls, we have to control volume and rate. So there's going to be modern stormwater controls on all of those
what
properties.
does that mean? Are you
It
putting
means
storm
the-
drains or like big?
There's a series of inlets, pipes and underground systems to hold the water and release it slowly over time. And I will tell you, not to get too technical, and I think Rob is doing his best not to chime in, but these areas in stormwater management are underground facilities. There's a series of pipes in this area.
Do you see my concern, sir? Because you're once again saying, this is the storm area, this is the storm area, this is the area that floods in across the road.
I was gonna get to that.
Okay, keep going.
This all gets tied in and it is being released down to this tributary, not this direction. It is going this way.
That's,
Gonna flood into
that's,
your area?
There's a creek that goes through
There's a
there.
creek right in here.
Yeah, so
But
it's,
it will be slow release, so I don't think.
It's completely uncontrolled now. It will be controlled, held back, have a volume aspect to it, be released slowly over time.
we do
everything
have
west of the
that.
pipeline goes west. Everything to the right goes right. We're not touching anything
Not
to the
doing
west of the
any of
pipeline.
that.
So all of our stormwater currently goes this way and it will continue to go that way. So yes. From a stormwater perspective, unfortunately, we can't help you, but we have no impact to you either way.
You said you talked to all the neighbors.
I apologize. I was not aware of.
And
Your
the
concern.
Coleman Farm, that area, the Coleman Farm is designed to retain.
Yeah. And that's what I
It's
felt that
same
we-
thing.
so- And it's gonna be more of a flooding issue. The Coleman Farm already floods. They literally flood into their farm.
You can walk out there, it's
Like into the road. Like, that's the concern. I don't know. Do you guys drive that when it floods? Because it literally, you cannot drive that road when it rains. So now, I'm a nurse, so I understand he's a plumber. We understand mechanics, but I don't see how this is gonna work.
The issue that I see, because I'm not too far from where you live, is Railroad Avenue.
Yeah.
So as far as Berry Road goes, I've never experienced any flooding on Berry Road.
Cause you have both houses that flood, and the houses flood, we flood.
I mean, there's a possibility, yeah, but the Coleman Farms, it was designed to do that.
Mine's sick very rich. The front off of that field. If it's so intense, I think. Every single year. Will have to be empty. Because of the runoff from the field. Filled my pool with mud, dirt, you couldn't possibly begin to filter it. I finally gave up and filled in the pool. Obviously, the pool. That wasn't the spot to put a pool, but that's how much water comes down from that field. And that field, if you walk out there right now, you'll be ankle deep in water.
And where are you located? I'm sorry.
I'm the other driveway.
Oh, on the
82,
other side of this.
yeah, I'm the existing driveway, which is 1980, and believe me, I know what I'm talking
But you still get flooded once in a while.
about. Well, I promise, I'm gonna ignore flooding, never flooding, I better not.
And he's saying they're gonna be putting pools in. Like, this is like a lot of
we don't-
land.
we don't-
That they're allowed there to. But the fact that we put that notes.
So you are here. Okay, what I'll state again is this field, as you know, is undetained. It just runs freely off. We are coming in with improvements. However, we are putting inlets and pipes along here to capture all this area and take it down to where it should go, not towards your home. We're picking up before it gets to your property.
See that?
So what about now?
You know, water doesn't mind consent.
As our engineer stated, this direction, we are not touching, we're not adding to it, we're not pushing water that direction, it's going this way.
Well, that's,
Yes.
it goes down to 76 husband, 76 Bear Road. That's the thing, if you're not touching that, which I'm totally fine with, you shouldn't touch it, but our swale from Ida alone, you can see the way everything funnels, and if you're building everything towards that way, everything's coming back towards us that's not being retained in your development. I mean, it's just a lot of moving parts for where I see here. It just tons. I mean, water travels fast, especially through the woods, and it's wetlands. It is all wetlands, swamps, like plenty of times. It is a lot of water that already comes through the field. And if you're building up, I understand you're trying to retain this. This does get affected. It does. And I understand I'm not an engineer. I don't do the numbers. We've seen the way the water moves there.
I am sympathetic, believe me. I know you have a greater knowledge than I do. All I can say is I can't go in this area and make improvements.
And I understand that.
I'm not allowed to. So what I'm telling you is I'm not pushing anything further. They're saying we're detaining it and taking it where it should go, not towards your property. I wish I could go in there and help you in the pipeline. I can't do that.
Well, then that's the other thing. I've replaced 2 sewer lines on my property, and just with doing that, that gas line, you want to talk about sensitive? It is touchy. It is touchy. And that is a lot going on around that gas line. I'm just saying, it is a lot going on.
So what's your address?
76 Barry?
I'm curious about the lane there now. Is that gonna be widened or?
No, our intent is to not widen that at all. And what this doesn't show is we are placing inlets along the swale here to pick up this additional impervious to take it that direction, not back down towards Berry Road. Our intent, again, we have to get through PennDOT. Our intent at this point is to not widen, not change how you have operated there since I understand you've been there for quite some time.
Yeah.
No intention of changing.
Amy and I both have.
Okay,
Been the residents for 90 days,
okay.
And nobody's touched that lane
except us.
except us.
What was recently repainted?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you went through a lot to get that,
I believe.
because they parked all their equipment and broke up the street.
Okay.
We did the best we could with our hands. No big machinery. We kept that street in decent shape.
And I will tell you, the HOA will own and maintain that road. It will remain in decent shape because it's no longer your burden.
We will not be part of each other.
Correct. All we're gonna do is write a new easement for you to use that to access your house, because I don't think anything exists on file. But the burden of that road is dry, is not yours. And it will not be
Way in
used.
there, right?
What's that?
That's the only way into those other.
Correct, that is our property, right?
Doesn't the stormwater management plan need to be approved by the Bucks County Conservation?
Yes, it has been submitted for an MPDS permit and it is in review.
And we haven't had their comments.
We have not received their admin comments yet.
So if it's like Julia's Farm, they will be the tough one to get through.
Oh, yeah.
They're the ones that, no? Yeah.
We review.
Oh, you review the stormwater.
Discuss. They just simply make sure no sediment is outside.
They were,
Just
they,
do a storm. Look at the level. Township is very strict.
Yeah.
Very strict.
yeah, I mean,
I mean, that's why it's tough, because I'm not gonna argue with anybody. I've been hearing this for 30 years. They know more than we do, because everybody, but that all water comes from somewhere else, not his prop. It may contribute, but I know exactly what they're talking about. With the Texas Eastern, it's always that, no matter where it goes down. I mean, I've had to deal with multiple properties in different townships. And once it's cleared and maintained, it just runs, it's like a farm field. It just runs off the farm fields. No one ever likes to hear it, but once they build a house or a street, you can control stormwater better.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And I've been saying it for years. I think people finally getting it. Same thing happened with High Point or Toll Brothers, all those jobs. Once they put up, now this is a little different because it's a rural setting, but it's a large lot. It's also on your grades are one on the top. So those new homes probably won't have the problem that all the neighbors currently have. But when I hear wetlands and swampy backyard, yeah, that's where, unfortunately, it's like, I'm not saying anything negative, but buyer beware of it. That's an indication, that's a low in the area. And that's the reason why you have properties, just obviously upstream and running down towards your properties in Berry Road. The creek is there for a reason, and usually have wetlands and pockets of low lying area. I do look at all that and we made sure we looked at the drain. Rob has worked in this area a long time. We're pretty tough on stormwater. His engineer can attest to it. I think he's not over there. That this township is very strict. And then it goes, with the bigger project, goes to the state. And the county does look at it for erosion control and small items.
And this is subject of an MPDS permit.
Okay.
Would it be possible to build berms behind their property or, that would direct the
I can't build within the,
berms?
So we can't do anything here, right? Sorry. Alright, so we're gonna be planting here, and here we already have drainage going.
I see plantings, I said berms.
I understand what you're saying, I'm just trying to explain what we're doing. So it isn't a berm, because that would then direct the other side of the berm to their house.
Exactly.
So we're basically cutting a swale here to get into this stormwater.
to an inlet and a pipe, to bring the water back into the stormwater facility, then take it down to the unnamed tree.
So you maintain the existing grade here and then lower this grade. It effectively creates a berm, but it's a swale. It currently goes in this direction. Correct. We're gonna direct it down here to this system. And then it discharges into the ditch or the stream that's there.
Good question, because basically what I'm hearing is the water is going in multiple directions now. But it's coming, now it's gonna be coming towards our house. All of it's coming towards.
Oh, then we've done everything for years. No, it's there. Then you're right. It'll be collected and then it's slowed down and released
Okay.
over time.
Question is, and basically I know nothing about stormwater management.
I could bore you to death if you want.
Well, actually, could you explain a little bit more the function and how it works of the underground piping and the little rectangle?
Sure.
I know that's not a technical term.
No, it's close enough. I know enough to be dangerous, that's why Rob's here. So, again, inlets and pipes regrading to capture this area to take into these underground basins. They are a series of underground pipes and chambers and stone. There's a certain level of that water that will infiltrate back into the ground. You won't see these on the surface, it'll be grass.
Okay.
So then that area is held back and there's what's called an outlet structure on each one of these. That outlet structure goes through an immense amount of engineering and vetting by the township to release that water slowly back into what's called a level spreader. It essentially comes out of another pipe and it slowly seeps up and then sheet flows back down to the creek at a slow rate.
Okay.
Rob, did I get that close enough?
Close enough.
You got it.
Let me add too. I heard that running directly.
So we would fill,
So that's like five, I think the storm's different. That's maybe 500 storm.
Right.
Okay, these are not designed to
So every just.
state the local requirements are under here. So we get a lot of that, when you get to the intensity, storm burst, okay, that's the quick intensity, a lot of rain, you're gonna get flooding everywhere. It's good. These are designed to collect water everywhere and then slowly release it, but it's only for those areas, you can't file when you go all throughout the farm.
So are there basins there that?
They're underground.
They're called underground beats, yeah, we call them.
They're a series of chambers or pipes that hold the volume of the stormwater and they're stone underneath it. And then the outlet structure is slowly released over time.
So along the roads, do you have those, little?
Inlets or.
Inlets.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's gonna be swales, I'm gonna draw my own plan, that sort of direct the water into the inlets and then come back and get into the system. So that road runoff will get into a storm system to get into those facilities. It's not letting,
Yes, there's multiple.
Do you think at the end of the day?
I say this quite often, and I know I don't live there and I'm sympathetic to you as neighbors, but with modern stormwater management, after a development comes through that is vetted through the township and the NPDS permitting process, it's always better.
It's not gonna address the flood, that's why I went there, but yes, I agree with that.
Issue. You're not.
why can't, you're hoping the water's gonna come in here and the swell's gonna take it into this one. Why isn't this right here? Why isn't there something protecting anything from going that way? This one and this one are next to the road. There's nothing on the back ends of these two lots protecting anything going that way. I understand what you're saying, but you're just hoping your swells are gonna go that way. You're hoping.
Not only.
Well, you're telling me all the swells are gonna go that way?
They start somewhere, they would get started this way. We're getting it to the creek where it needs to go. You do not want facilities on the backside of these properties. Correct.
How is there not like, all right, so I'm confused. Why can't we do this here pipe system to that one and then release that way?
There are systems going into.
Okay, so then why can't we have something here that releases into a pipe, then releases that way, not releasing that way?
That's what I'm explaining.
You're not, because I'm asking you to put one here and you're saying you can't do that, that it's just here. And that's the only one that's gonna help me.
The contours go the other way now.
It goes this way.
There's a high point. The high. Right.
This whole- where is it? Okay.
When they do the improvements, my understanding is that it's actually gonna be higher on your side.
So it's gonna be higher pitch now, or it's gonna be
It's-
higher pitching back towards this part?
I just, like, to be clear,
And
right.
that's my concern. So
We have this easement here, and there's basically like a ridge at the easement. So, but the problem is that the drainage area that comes in this direction isn't just our field. It goes all the way up to Schoolhouse Road. So they're collecting a much larger area than we even have. But everything that we're disturbing goes in this direction. These houses currently get some of our disturbed area.
Site runoff, right?
Correct, and we are going to collect that and we are conveying it at a slower rate here so that all these affected properties, again, that are within our drainage area, will see less stormwater in the proposed condition than they do in the existing. It is designed to not only maintain what they have, but improve what they have. And again, I think I've been in here for a dozen projects over the last 10 years. Like, it's proven scientifically that we have to do it at all points where we disturb.
And if that's.
Craig,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, I was gonna. Anytime during construction, you notice something that, I'm looking, so it's gonna be the backyard of that lot, I understand what you're saying, it's. Right at the corner of the east, at the Texas Eastern is a swell. But you guys can probably add one additional inlet there at the right
Okay.
corner. And then, because you know what's gonna happen later on. They're gonna point and say, look at this, now you have an inlet there, right at the corner where she said, it's not gonna pick up a lot. With any little bit in that area, right, it's gonna be right on the edge of the lot and
Yeah.
Texas Eastern. Just take it down to the system, that way, if there are any problems in the area, we can make sure it's graded towards that end.
Yep, and I also just note one other, this has been, as you know, a farm field. So it has crops, then it goes down to bare earth, then it has crops, and it goes back down to bare earth. That is not great from a stormwater runoff perspective. It's just not. Now that we are developing in this area will no longer be farmed. It will grow up in a meadow condition and stoke up water. It will help. It's not going to be farmed any longer.
So you're not gonna allow your residents to use pesticides, because I'm concerned about that being runoff into my. Because right now it's a farmland,
And we have well.
so are they not
All
allowed to
wells.
use anything that's going to run off into my yard? Technically washing your car and your house running that off into.
This property has been a big secret for over 40 years that I know.
A secret.
Secret.
Okay.
Yeah, well, who owns it? I don't know.
There was a guy from California.
It was a gentleman from California.
Who takes care of it? I don't know.
Fellow.
We do now.
Well,
It's ours now. We own it.
until then.
Up until that time, it was a gentleman from California.
There are certain things that are outside.
I know the Coleman brothers who were very interested in the property too.
And like, not for nothing, I'm very uncomfortable, you guys want to build this area up. I bought this with hopes of raising my family here for, I literally wrote a letter, I will be in this backyard for my generations, and now I'm like, we're moving once this goes in, because there's, and down the street, you're building 3 months austerities on that farmland. Oh my goodness. And then, oh, it's just really sad what's happening, and I've been in the township for. Yeah, I understand that, I do understand that. It's just a shame. It is a shame what is happening and how many houses are sold.
Let's
I have a quick question, and this is gonna be another dumb question.
No such thing.
The little rectangles that are like kind of, where are the little rectangles? The
That-
little tiny white rectangles.
These guys?
No, the little white ones.
Oh, those are just contour labels. That's just showing what the elevation is. That's nothing that's nothing on the ground or improvement. It's just, it's 254 contour. Again, if you want me to bore you with all this, I can. Okay.
With that said, we turn that. Wasn't the town. No, we didn't know. You didn't.
No.
That's why I'm,
200 gallons.
that's why I was, yeah.
You couldn't do
I
it.
got them on the floor.
No, actually, that was, yeah, I don't know how, but assuming you know, like, we know about that property. The individual's not living there, but there was a much bigger plan, which was for the whole area that,
Where they were combining 3 full parcels.
yeah, so, and, you know, I hate to say it, but it turned out pretty good on the township side. They only have 4 homes. Did you say 80?
They got it, it started out at like 100 and something, and it got, he went down to 80.
Yeah.
And I'm going down to 4.
So are you saying too that you can bring something into the homeowners association agreement to control the lighting?
Yes,
Perfect, thank you very
Yes.
much for doing that.
I'm not gonna say there's no lighting, but yeah, we'll work with the township and the solicitor to come up with something reasonable. Given the rural nature of this area, we're not trying to come. The township has noise ordinance.
Based on your studies of the contours, and you mentioned that the water flow towards our property will be increased. Do you know about what percentage? What will we be seeing in terms of increase?
It's not based on a percentage. You probably won't see any change.
Okay, cool. So you said the water's gonna slowly drain off of their property.
No, on our property.
Well, okay, it's gonna slay drain. How long will that water lay there for a long time?
It's not laying.
Before it drains into the street.
It's underground too. The containment, the volume is underground. And then it comes out of what's called a level spreader slowly and there's positive drainage. So it's not just coming to an area and sitting, it's getting down to the creek.
So it won't be a swamp there. with
No.
Mosquitoes breeding.
No.
And one other thing I just wanted to mention. You seem very confident in your water management,
Yes,
how you're gonna manage it.
yes.
I would be convinced if I was the homeowner, if I was the person buying the house.
Okay.
For us who already live there, what kind of guarantee do we get that you're not gonna make it worse on our properties?
The guarantee.
That's my job. We have,
Township engineers.
that's my job to inspect it, my staff.
If we have a problem, what happens?
If there's a storm, you will, there's a form at the township, it will actually go to Doreen, new zoning officer. Depending on what it is, Public Works goes out first, manager looks at it, zoning officer, then we would get involved. There's stormwater O&M agreements, if it's related to stormwater or something that they're not maintaining or owning, then I get involved, make a recommendation, we usually meet out there, contact the HOA, and we go from there, and then whoever complained can be involved and get an update and a report for that, but there's forms that go out, I get them all the time. A lot of times they're long PennDOT, but unfortunately that I don't have your picture over. Drainage, but we get that, you know,
You
everything.
get reports, you.
Yeah, from existing homes, new homes.
Is there any action after that?
So then, depending on how they respond, then we bring in the solicitor as a township attorney. And then we go through, if that, I've had anybody where I had to get. Usually we work something out and.
And I'll tell you one more thing. Sorry, I'm back to you. This stormwater goes through an amazing vetting process through Gilmore's office, through the conservation district of the county, and then a state issued permit. And then we have to build those improvements, everything we're explaining tonight. Then at the end of it, the township has to make sure that it was actually built to the standards that we designed to and they approved. So it's not like we just build it and then we're finished. There's an as-built process where it is fully vetted again, the fact that we built what we said we were going to build, and it does function correct. So it's not we build it and then we leave and we're finished.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend, I discussed with the engineer and developer, depending on how tonight went, the layout is not gonna change. You can see the exact same picture over there. There's a lot of technical issues, so my recommendation for planning commission is to grant them preliminary final. However, a condition is that they clean up the plans, resubmit for a cleaner letter. This will not get approved at the board of supervisors with this many just comments from me. So, but I don't think there's any, we heard everything, everything's documented. This is all technical, stormwater lighting.
Yes.
So I have that down. We'll clean up the plans. We'll take the feedback tonight. They'll clean it up and do a new review, and then they'll go to the supervisors if you so choose to grant approval with a cleaner letter, and the layout's going to look exactly the same. That's not going to change, it's more technical. So that would be my recommendation, that they do not proceed to the board until they clean up their plans and have a new review done and issued.
Lighting.
And we'll work out those conditions. I'll have to work with the township attorney on the language, maybe they can provide it, save some time.
That could just be a condition of the
We're gonna make that a
recommendation.
condition at the board level.
Sure.
So that's my recommendation.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Thank you very much.
For the residents, they still have to go to the board of supervisors. I'm not sure you're gonna be notified again. I think it's only one time you go through, so either watch the website, contact the township office. It's gonna be a few months till they go back into season.
And I could just say, please reach out to the township. Craig has my contact information. Feel free to reach out to us at any point during this process. I think we can call. I just have to do that. So, we're available to meet and discuss at any point with the residents. Okay, thank you.
Have you ever had, you know, before people do, have you ever heard any bad things about that development up in Berry and there was? I just wanted to say to the people that are. When Iron Hill Road, when that development went in at Berry Road and Iron Hill, right up from the cover bridge, there were a ton of residents who came in and were worried because of the slope of the land.
Yeah, that's.
But they did it back. I don't think there's ever been a problem.
No, then, you know, I forget
Because they, on Iron Hill, Berry, because they put that development in. People downhill, remember they're always.
It's like some blue people. One will be on one side and on the right.
Next on the agenda. ECD Greenway Trail Branch Pine Run Trail Replacement Report Letter and Discussion. Basically, we just need to review the support if we're in agreement with it.
I don't know, what's in the package? You can see what you mean with it. Is there a sketch, a layout of the trail at all? or-
When you get to it there.
So we're
Yes.
a little premature, but since you had your meeting and the board had already authorized us to work on a grant. There's a bigger project, improvements to North Ranch Park, update the trails. Okay, so that's a sketch that we prepare for the board. We don't know exactly which phase is gonna happen, but because this grant applies to trails, the township is looking to connect over to, the borough and to Pine Run School. And there's an old bridge and an old trail, that Public Works would like to upgrade. So we do a new trail, a new bridge, so we get a group of vehicles in case that ever happened. Back there, the bridge could not, I say bridge, it's a culvert, but, the grant. No, Pine Run, over here, the open space. No. That's, I've never been on it, to be honest with you. It's open to. We're gonna like. Okay, well, that's why the Public Works wants to replace it, so. Anyway, the grant just requires planning commissioners just for the side of to support the grant that will be submitted by our office. Absolutely. The improvements are talking that we have. Ferry Road, pedestrian and crossings, so it's gonna be a 4 or 5 page project. That's going to be available, but this also granted could just go towards the planning and design of it, but we thought we'd actually try to do some improvements with it. So I'm recommending. that we
For that couple parks, right? Open space. We're gonna check.
This started a couple of years ago, just a discussion, and then we did a survey. I don't know if like we surveyed that aerial the drone flow over the whole township property, because eventually we do a new police building and additions to this building, trails. So we have a survey of the whole area, and then we'll take each piece of the trail or the park and focus on improvements. And it's kind of a master plan, which we're just starting to put together. So hopefully we get this grant for 250, that'll help with. And then we're just paving the trail and then widening it, we're gonna widen the trail and then replace the bridge.
You guys want to get in the minutes? By making the move on the revenue? But they had a recommendation.
I don't know.
Just
Looking for a motion to recommend support.
I make a motion that we accept the Greenway plan that's presented.
And do we have a second?
Second.
All right, Josh, all in favor?
Now you can have public comment. Now it's public comment.
I didn't see you come back.
I did. I followed him. Anyway, where we live, actually, which you all know where we live, we see an incredible number of bicyclists that
This has to be related to this project right now.
the Greenway.
There's public comment later after this project.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm sorry.
That's what's there.
So yes, the board shows support.
Okay. You
We
voted?
voted. All right. All right, public comments. Sorry, Mickey, we gotta follow procedure.
You totally saw that.
This is-
Wait till you get to the board of supervisors. I won't be-
You know.
This is where you
not-
learn.
Yeah.
Different board. The attorney's.
Oh, okay. Basically, in terms of trails and greenway and things like that, the bicyclists, what they do is they go around the trails at Peace Valley Park, and then they come down New Galena, and we're on New Galena, but they go around New Galena, they go down Schoolhouse Road, they come back, and then they go back down New Galena. We're like the giant end of the cul-de-sac for the bicyclist trail for Peace Valley Park. That said, I don't know what that means, but I'm putting that out there for future planning in case there's some interest in.
You want a trail to go right through?
Not really, but we see a lot of bicyclists go down New Galena Road and come around. I think they like the hill. I think they like that hill on Schoolhouse. It's scary. I never let my kids do it. They hate me. I know, I'm such a bad mom.
No, thanks for bringing that up.
But that's all.
Okay.
I did, but it's really quick. I would just like, Dory, I would like to know when the, and this before they get up to know the accident, when the focus case surveys. What? You didn't start.
Well,
I want to know when the survey results that we answer based on the out of residents. When we're going to see this.
We should have seen them by mid-March, but I will check in with our contact over at the planning commission. I don't think so.
Somebody said last time that they were being reviewed by. The results are the results. Yeah.
We get a second. All in favor? I need your